everyone, back for another video here. I apologize, I've been hopelessly behind on keeping up with videos and even sometimes with answering comments on YouTube here since I've been in Gillette. I did not anticipate that being a problem when I headed back to Wyoming, but that's the way it's evolved. A few reasons that have contributed to me having a hard time keeping up that hopefully I will be getting addressed here this week or so. But one was I ended up sick for several days not long after arriving, and that kind of put me behind. And being sick coincided with a week when I was also starting a new freelance gig, adding to my workload. So the combination of extra work that week and being sick and losing a few days to being sick really put me behind. Also, the weather here has been somewhat less than wonderful, and like for example, I'm recording inside the van right now because it's windy. It's Wyoming, it's almost always windy, so you have to be able to grab the rare opportunities when it's not blowing to get a decent recording outside. And we've had, a fair bit of rain, not a lot of rain, but a fair bit of rain, more than I'm used to seeing. Having been hanging out in the desert, and even a couple times snow, so it's been less than ideal for recording outdoors, and I keep hoping to be able to record outdoors. And then too, I want to be able to show you some of the scenery from around Wyoming, but we had an uncharacteristically wet winter, apparently a record-setting wet winter. So the snowpack in the mountains are well above normal, even still, in the end of March here. So hopefully soon I'll be able to get out of Gillette a little more. But the combination of work and being behind with being sick and the weather has kind of kept me bound up here in the city. So hopefully that'll be improving soon. I'll be able to get out and get some more scenery for you to show, which will, basically I hate to just sit here and do a bunch of talking head videos, but sometimes stuck a little with circumstances outside my control. So what I wanted to talk about for a few minutes today was surviving being sick in a van. That's hopefully something that doesn't come up very often. For me, I've been on the road full-time for almost a year and a half now, and I think this is the first time I've been sick. I've been down with headaches a few times. I'm kind of prone to those, although I get them a lot less when I'm out in nature than I do when I'm putting up with in town. But I don't think I've been sick on the road before this. Being sick when you're on the road or living in a vehicle does present some unique challenges. It's obviously never fun, even when you're in a house, but probably when you're in a house you have your coping mechanisms you've developed to deal with it. That all gets upended when you're in a vehicle and you have to use different strategies or approaches to deal with some things. So I thought today I'd just share with you what I have found helpful and some things I was thinking about during the several days I was down sick. And I went all winter and never even had a cold. But I was in the desert and the weather was halfway decent. I had the windows or doors open almost every day, and I wasn't hanging around with I wasn't spending a lot of time with other people to be exposed to things. So I guess maybe not surprising. And then I get back here to Wyoming and everything's all shut up. And even if I'm in the van, I got the window shut a lot of times. Fortunately, it's starting to warm up a little now. But when I first got back, we had some pretty rough weather for a while. And so yeah, you closed up. And then I'm spending time with the grandkids, and they're all dealing with their colds and things as kids often are in the winter. And needless to say, I managed to get sick shortly after getting here, between being exposed to things and closed up inside without the fresh air I was used to, and those germs tend to fester and spread a little more readily in a closed environment. So I'll share with you a few suggestions that you might keep in mind for those times when you do get sick while you're on the road or in a vehicle, and hopefully it'll be helpful. For my first suggestion I make is try and maintain your health. And why do I say that? Well, it's real easy when you're on the road living out of a vehicle, and for me especially if I'm spending time in town doing a lot of stealth stuff, it's real easy to not get exercise, to not get fresh air every day, to eat too much junk food, because it's not always easy to cook discreetly depending on what you got for a setup or where you're hanging out. So it's real easy to not be as healthy in town I find, at least, as it is out in the wilderness. So maintaining your health, of course, is real important to not getting sick in the first place. If you do end up sick, I find it's probably really helpful if you have a comfortable setup already, and maybe this is something you can't fix, and you don't want to do it just so you get sick. But if you got a comfortable setup, it makes things a lot easier. If you got a comfortable bed or a comfortable place to sit, if your setup is uncomfortable on a good day, it'll probably be downright miserable when you're sick and not feeling good. Fortunately, I got a decent bed I was able to sleep in, get a good night's sleep. It's also really helpful if you got some decent places to park. And of course, this is one of many things I'm missing right now, being in town. Gosh, I guess spoiled. I could park for a week or more in one place and not have to move, and that was just great. But being in town, I got to move a couple times a day, at least twice a day. Wherever I get up in the morning and go and hang out somewhere, and then in the evening go find somewhere to sleep. So I'm moving at least twice a day, and that's bad enough. But at least if you have a place you can park and have to drive as little as possible when you're not feeling good, that'll be helpful. It's no fun having to drive around and find another place to park when you're sick. It's also really helpful if you can carry some basic medications with you. Things like whatever your favorite over-the-counter pain reliever is, Tylenol, Advil, Excedrin, whatever. Excedrin is kind of my standby for the arthritis in the back and the headaches I'm prone to. Excedrin's a necessity for me. But a pain reliever like that, and maybe some Benadryl for allergic reactions, or Imodium if you've got a GI bug. Or you don't have to carry a whole pharmacy, but if you have some basic things, you'll be able to grab what you need and make yourself more comfortable. Some of you may prefer natural alternatives to those things, and that's fine. But just if you have some basic stuff on hand, it'll make things easier. Because for one thing, if you're boondocking, you may be many miles away from the nearest store where you can get things, if you can even find them in the nearest town. And even if you're in town, if you're really sick, you may not be able to get out. When I was sick there recently, boy, I could not go into a store. I had the basically flu-like symptoms, including a lot of nausea and vomiting, and I could not go into a store. So if you got some basic stuff in the van, that'll make things a lot easier. Also, food and water. Make sure you got enough food and water. That's a good thing to do all the time, because you just never know when something's going to come up. Being sick, of course, is one example. You may not be able to get somewhere to pick up some food and water for a few days. So if you're stocked up enough that you can get through that time, that'll make things that much easier. But there's that's helpful in other situations too. Like if you're boondocking, I've mentioned before in another video about roads getting washed out and things. So it's always a good idea to have some basic food and water supplies on hand. And but that also comes up when you're sick. Another really important piece of gear to have is a multi-purpose bucket. And with whatever you use for bags to line it and what have you, if you get a nasty stomach bug or a GI bug going, you're even if you normally are able to get to public restrooms, or if you normally you're boondocking, you normally go out and dig a hole somewhere, you may not be able to do that as often as you need to if you're sick. So having a bucket so you can take care of those things in the van is indispensable. And then finally, just try and have it so you can give yourself time to rest and recover. This was a little bit stressful for me because I was afraid for a little bit I may have contracted the flu. I only had that, I think, once in my adult life, and that was several years ago. I'd had the flu shot and still got the flu, and the doctors told me the good news was that it wouldn't be as bad. And boy, I was 3 days, I think, 3 or 4 days, I was laid up and I was sick. So I can't even imagine what that would have been like if I'd had the full effect had I not had the flu shot. So that was a concern for me anyways. It was like all this work I got to do, and I was like, man, what if I'm down for a week or more, with whatever this is. And fortunately it ended up being a 48-hour bug that spanned about parts of 3 days, but still it was a little stressful because I had so much work I had to get done, and that was down. I finally just had to tell myself, you know what, you got to get well first and then worry about work afterwards. Unfortunately, it didn't. It only lasted a couple days, but that could have been a real problem. But being able to just give yourself time to rest and recover is really important when you're sick. So hopefully these ideas are helpful. I'm not making any claims that this is everything a person would need to know, or that all these things are going to be ideal for everyone, or that there are not other things that will be helpful for some people. Bottom line is, humans we tend to have our own levels of discomfort we can tolerate, and some people get sick more than others, and so depending on your setup and your situation and your own overall health, there may be things you need to do differently. But these are some things that either I used specifically this last time when I was sick, or was thinking about while I was sick this last time. So hopefully they'll at least give you a starting point to think about. And I don't want to suggest you have to go around being paranoid about being sick or anything while you're, a nomad or living in a vehicle. But it's there are some things about it that are a little bit different from when you're at home in a house. And so, if you have a few things ready, for the day when you are sick, it'll hopefully make things a little easier for you. But thanks for watching, and I hope that you found this helpful, and we'll see you in the next video.